My family has been ranching in Idaho for over 100 years. I was born on a ranch, and I married a rancher who's a lot like my dad, and he takes care of cows all day, every day. One of our favorite things to do as a couple is to watch cattle graze. And as peaceful as that scene looks, there's a lot more going on here than you might think. And it has, the relationship between grazing animals and grass is age-old and symbiotic, and it has the modern-day potential to address some of the most serious environmental threats we face today. Floods and droughts, the loss of species, recurring wildfires, even climate change. But maybe you've heard that cows are a threat to the planet, and really, why would you listen to a rancher? Honestly, I come here less as a rancher than as a crusader for my children and my children's children and the planet we leave to them. Because it's not the cows that are in trouble, the grass is in trouble. Grass is likely the least appreciated but most important and abundant plant worldwide. Grass can be compared to the skin of the earth. For our human body, our skin is the first line of defense against disease. And what are these environmental challenges I've just described, if not diseases of our natural world? Like our skin, grass keeps the planet hydrated and protects against temperature extremes in the soil. When our daughter was just a little girl, about 5, she'd just gotten out of the tub and I was sure she was cold. And she said, "No, Mom, I have my nice warm skin on." Grass clothes and protects the planet. A grass-based landscape is critical to the water cycle, so it acts like a sponge to catch raindrops and lets water soak into the ground instead of washing away and taking valuable topsoil with it. And as it soaks in, it recharges springs and streams and deep water aquifers. This in-soak is the hallmark of a healthy, functioning watershed, and we all live in a watershed. Grass stops wind erosion, which you might think that's old news. That happened back in the Dust Bowl, right? No, it's a common worldwide problem still today. You can even see it in our own community every spring. And grass has this vast root system that feeds life forms underground. A richly diverse and flourishing ecosystem below the ground mirrors that above ground. So let's go back to cows. Cows are a type of animal plant eater called ruminants. Some of these ruminants are really familiar to us, like deer and elk, sheep and goats, bison, and some not so much, like water buffalo, yak, and reindeer. They're really unique in that they have a stomach with 4 compartments and a lengthy digestive process that includes regurgitating what they've already swallowed to chew again. It's called chewing their cud. They ruminate. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'll have to ruminate on that idea"? Or they might say, "Let me chew on that." Well, those phrases came from these animals. And it's not surprising they've influenced our language because many ruminants have been domesticated starting about 10,000 years ago. And they have played a really important role in the advancement of our own civilization. Just a bit of trivia, all ruminants except 1 or 2 only have front teeth on the bottom of their mouth. So on the top is this tough leathery pad that they use to press their teeth against to rip grass. And it's a really important adaptation that makes them efficient grazers. Grass evolved being eaten, and it thrives with periodic removal of old growth. Think about a lawn. So what would it look like if you never mowed it? Large ruminants also till the soil with their hooves, which creates that seed-to-soil contact that is necessary for seed germination. The grazing process yields 2 very important outcomes. So first of all, it converts much of the sheer tonnage of plants that grow every year, which are high in fiber, low in nutrients, and hard to digest, into a highly digestible, nutrient-dense food, meat. which is then available to omnivores like us and carnivores further up the food chain. Second, it recycles the nutrients and energy locked in those plants and returns them to the soil in the form of dung and urine to start the cycle again. In the soil are billions of microscopic decomposers. They feed on one another, they trade goods with roots, and they build soil fertility. Well, they need recycled plant matter to feed the system. So if you choose to eat meat or not, I mean, that's your decision. But if you care about the planet, you should care about this cycle. What I've just described is a resilient landscape, one that will bounce back after wildfire, or take on heavy rains or snowmelt without flooding, or can withstand prolonged drought. And it's not just for cows and grass. It's for all kinds of plants and animals, insects. So flowering forbs for butterflies and brush for nesting songbirds. And it's a landscape that is cycling carbon as it should. So let's go back to middle school biology where we learned about photosynthesis. So we know that plants pull carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and then with the sun's energy make food for the rest of us. It is really that beautifully simple. It's key to life on Earth. Carbon then is held in plants until it's released through respiration and decay, ideally returning a net zero gain of carbon in the air. However, and this is the exciting part, if we can ramp up that system with well-planned grazing to get deeper roots and more diversity, or even better, if we could reclaim barren dirt with cycling plants, we could put more carbon in the ground where it belongs. This cycle, the renewable feedback loop of carbon, don't confuse this with carbon we extract for oil and gas. That is a one-way process that leads to this overburden of carbon in the atmosphere. There's another aspect of climate change that's rarely talked about. It's a nasty word called desertification. This map was produced by the U.S. Natural Resources Conservation Service. It's called the Global Desertification Vulnerability Map. The red areas are very high vulnerability. The gray areas are dry. Now, desertification means fertile land turning into desert. If that's happening, you know that the water cycle is deteriorating. There's more barren ground, and the land is losing that in-soak capability. If that happens, all life forms are at risk, including humans. It also means the all-important carbon cycle is deteriorating. So carbon that could be cycling into the ground is instead being stuck in the atmosphere. This map also highlights the difference in climate. So the eastern US is green because it's humid all year long. In that environment, the microbes of decay stay active and plants cycle adequately. However, in the West, where we have humidity that is seasonal, the decomposition of plants happen most readily in the gut of an animal, where it's always moist and it's always the right temperature. In the stomach of a cow live billions of the same types of microbes that live in the soil. So the red areas are alarming. Here's the deal. I agree with many experts, they just don't make the news, that part of the reason this is happening is because we misunderstand the role that grazing animals play in the environment. Yes, on our continent, sheep and cattle have been mismanaged in the past, left too long in one place, which weakens the soil, weakens the grass, and exposes the soil. But in our ignorance, we've overcorrected by taking animals off the land, removing a vital link in the chain of ecosystem health, when what we needed was simply a better way to manage these animals. Luckily, this outdated way of thinking is turning around. There are alliances being created between people like me that take care of animals and others in our communities that see the value in what we do. In California, where wildfire is such a concern, goats are foraging on brush to reduce fuels for wildfires while improving the soil at the same time. Cows are being managed in smart, environmentally friendly ways, leaving plenty of grass behind and not coming back until the grass is recovered. Farmers are putting livestock back into the cycle of crop production, which feeds the soil and reduces the need for fertilizer. And in my world, wildlife conservationists are working with ranchers in ways 20 years ago we could only imagine. I have a lot of hope. I think we're going to get this figured out. But we need your help. You can assist these natural cycles too. When you mow your lawn, mow it tall. Don't mow it short. Let grass shade the soil. Plant a vegetable garden and do some of your own photosynthesizing. Put your phone away. Take your kids outside. We are not separate from nature. We are intricately dependent upon nature. And please keep learning with me. Have an open mind about animal agriculture and the environment. These animals are our allies, as they have been for thousands of years, and we just might need them now more than ever.